Hi, everyone. So we are rapidly approaching the end of this semester, and I just want to make sure that we go over everything that you'll want to turn in before we leave for summer. So first of all, I've had a few questions recently about the multimodal argument and explanatory essay. And I think the most important thing to understand is that this really is a two-part project. The first part is going to be a kind of any text that you would like to make that has some sort of inherent argument. It could be a review, it could be a how-to guide, it could be, lots of things. And I know I have some explanation in the description as well. But the rules for what that is, that text that you've made that's like a video or something, that's pretty open. You can basically make whatever you want. The part that I think is kind of hard to understand then is that then you're going to write an essay describing how you made choices to create this text that you've made. And basically this is going to stand in for a final. So you are going to be making an essay explaining the choices that you made instead of me giving you a final that's like, which of these is the rhetorical appeal logos and all that kind of stuff, okay? So what you're doing is you're demonstrating to me that you've learned these terms, that you can apply them to your own writing and your own, communication. Um, but we're doing it in, I think, kind of a more fun way. So you should be having, hopefully this is not too challenging. I think the hardest part of this project is understanding what it is. And then if you are ambitious, then that can be challenging as well. But this isn't inherently a difficult project. One other note that I'll make about this project is that I did push back the deadline by 2 days. I had it due on Sunday of finals week for some reason, which I don't understand what I was thinking. So I'm pushing it back to May 7th, which is that Tuesday. I do have to be kind of strict about this deadline because my grades are due within the week of finals. I have to make sure that grades are in that week. They're being really strict about it. So I want to make sure that my grades are in on time. And so that means I don't really have a lot of wiggle room for when you can turn in your project. I could maybe take it like a day late, but other than that, I'm not going to be able to grade it any later. So just make sure you get it in on time. Speaking of which, we have our peer review for this project coming up tomorrow and Wednesday. So basically, this is going to be pretty simple. Again, I think the hardest part is understanding what I'm talking about. And so let me just kind of show you. Basically, there's going to be a lot of people who are in different stages of this project. Some people are going to have the whole thing done. They're going to have their multimodal argument done, and they're going to have the explanatory essay done. And that's wonderful. They're going to get a lot of good feedback, I bet. Some people are going to have just the multimodal argument done and not the explanatory essay. And some people, kind of surprisingly, will have the explanatory essay done, but not the multimodal argument. And then a lot of people might not even have anything done yet. I know there's a lot of other projects that are competing for your attention right now. So I get it. So what is important to note is that there is no length requirement for the peer review. You can turn in basically anything and get credit for peer review as long as you participate and you give reviews to at least 2 other people, okay? And what I need you to do is think about what questions that you have for your project. I have created a worksheet, and I'll show it to you, that asks some questions that I hope will be helpful to you. But the thing is that wherever you are at in the project is going to really determine which of these questions might be helpful to you. And this is kind of made thinking of somebody who's maybe finished the whole thing, or I'm kind of giving you some questions that mean that you could answer for the part that they do have, even though they don't have very much done yet. And so you just want to make sure that if you have something that you want to participate with for peer review, which literally I would encourage you to do it because you can literally submit anything, that you write your own questions, or that you kind of write your own paragraph about what you're struggling with and see if you could get people to respond to that with help. So for example, I've had students talk about, they're working on making a podcast, but they don't know how to edit it or how to record it or how to submit the file. And it's like, these are the kinds of things that we tend to take for granted. But in my in-person classes, a lot of times we have the time to be able to kind of like talk about these things in the classroom. And so this is a good opportunity for you to get information from other people that maybe you don't have, right? And we take it for granted, like you could Google it or whatever, but it's like it's easier if you have somebody that you can ask, and say like, which of these is better? Do I really need to buy something, or is there a free version of this, and things like that? And usually there is. Yeah, and so it can be all kinds of things. If you're having trouble understanding the assignment, again, this is a great time for you to reach out to other peers in the class and say, I'm struggling with this. It might not be the kind of thing that you would normally think about when you're thinking about peer review, but this is going to be a time for us to all come together and share what knowledge we do have and hopefully help each other finish the projects and get a good grade. Yeah, but if you do want to, you can go ahead and just answer these questions, whichever ones apply, as long as you have responded to 2 people with some of these questions answered and you've posted your own thing, you'll get full credit for peer review. Okay. And then finally, end of the semester, I'm not going to go over these slides. There's a lot of text on here, but the most important thing for you to know is that you can revise your papers. So I think a lot of you already know this, you know, and we've gone over it before, but just in case you forgot or you maybe didn't realize before, if you did not like the grade that you got on the paper when you submitted it and got it graded from me, you can revise it, and you don't have to fully revise it. You don't have to do a rewrite or anything. Like, let's say you forgot to put a works cited page on your research paper. Just go ahead and put the works cited page on it, resubmit it. Maybe you didn't put in enough in-text citations. You can go back through and add those. Maybe you messed up something on the MLA. You can go back through, just like make little changes. One of the things to keep in mind is that I am not going to lower your grade if somehow you make the paper quote unquote worse than it was before. Okay. I'm going to make sure to give you as much credit as I can for your effort, as well as keeping in mind, the work that you did complete, and if you were able to learn from the feedback that I've given you, make sure that you are looking over the rubric for feedback. Sometimes students, they think that I just give them a grade and don't put any feedback on there. If you are not seeing feedback from me and detailed feedback from me, then you should check with me and see if something went wrong, because there should definitely be feedback there. Okay. All right. I have kind of priorities. So I think if you want to revise, you want to focus on your thesis first, then you can go to organization and then a summary. This is going to be the biggest return on your investment time-wise. Thesis is usually a sentence long. It doesn't take very long to write, but you need to get it right in order to get those points, right? Organization, add a conclusion or an introduction. Maybe you need to revise one of those. Maybe you need to add some topic sentences to your paragraph so it feels like the organization is a little bit more logical. There's lots of different things here. Some of you just need to break up paragraphs. That's very easy to do, right? And you get some points back. Okay, and then finally, let me move over here. All right, finally, we have this final reflection. This is our very last assignment for class. That's going to be due on the 7th, right? Yeah, along with your final projects. So what I want you to do for this is just 500 words, very casual. I just want you to talk about what you learned in class, okay? And so this is an opportunity for you to reflect. Reflection is an important a cognitive process. It helps you retain the information that you've learned from class. That's why we have reflections in a lot of writing classes, is because it's important to be able to let these things sink in and apply them to future things. 500 words, double spaced. And honestly, most people just answer the prompts. A lot of people just copy and paste these prompts into a document and then answer them. I put a positive spin on things. I tend to do that. I'm a positive person. But if you would like to talk about things that you didn't find favorable, we didn't have a lot of readings in class because we have student presentations in lieu of readings. But if there was a video that you thought was confusing, or if you had trouble with one of the papers, you can also include that kind of information, right? My least favorite paper was blank, right? But just keep in mind that this is something that I've put in here to make sure and help you retain information, but it's also something that I take very seriously, okay? So based on my student feedback, every single semester, I read all of these and I take notes. I make changes to my class. I change readings, I add readings, I take away readings. I used to have reading journals in this class and we don't anymore. And that's because a lot of students responded that that was their least favorite assignment. We don't even have readings in this class anymore, and part of that is based on student feedback and just kind of what I noticed in terms of how students were doing in the class. So I try to pay a lot of attention to what's working for you, what areas I think you need help in, and what areas you have identified as needing help. This is the thing that could help me make an even stronger class in the future. I would love any help that you have for me, but most importantly, use this time to reflect on what you've learned. Okay, I think that's everything. I hope you have a really good end of your semester. I know it's stressful. If you do have any questions for me, if I can help clarify anything. I am hovering over my keyboard these days. I was sick last week. I'm sorry if I was a little slow in getting back to people. But right now I'm well and I am hovering over the keyboard. So please let me know if you have questions. Please feel free to come in and meet with me. I will also be on campus during finals week if you need to meet then. So I hope you have a good day and good luck with everything.